Oh, this book sucks. Oh, sorry guys. Wrong book, wrong video, a long book. Anyway, yeah, I'm still trying to get around to finishing Dawn of the Jedi. Oh god. That's a video for another day. You'll get a review of that soon enough. But enough with that crap. Let's review the book that I announced earlier this year. And that is Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, written by Steve Perry, which, by many Expanded Universe fans, it's considered one of the best Expanded Universe novels. This is pretty much up there with the Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy. This is pretty much where the EU was at its peak, at least for the most part. This pretty much showed that Star Wars is more than just a movie. Not only does this have a toy line, it did at the time, a video game, a comic book, a novel. This is a pretty damn big deal, this novel, which is something that Disney has yet to do in their canon. And this is a book that George Lucas would have turned into a movie had this been written back in the 80s. That's how good this is. Consider this a pseudo-sequel to Empire Strikes Back. It's the story between Empire and Return of the Jedi. And honestly, this is a perfect, in my opinion, prequel to Return of the Jedi. It doesn't contradict anything, and I could argue this could fit even in Disney's canon. It really could, because it doesn't, unless they do something to make it so it can't fit. But in my opinion, there's no reason why this cannot fit in any canon, period. Of course, it doesn't even really matter if it's canon or not. This is a pretty damn good story, Shadows of the Empire. I've played the video game growing up. Of course, I've read the comic book, unfortunately, which is really bad. But the novel is great, honestly. One of the best Expanded Universe novel. In my opinion, one of the best standalones. If you're looking to get introduced to the Expanded Universe, Shadows of the Empire is actually not a bad place to start. I mean, it's right after Empire Strikes Back, so you don't need to read all that other stuff to familiarize yourself with the characters. And not to mention, since most people are probably fans of the original trilogy era, this would be a good book to start with. And it's one of the few books in the Expanded Universe, it's very rare you have it, where you don't have Luke, as a Jedi Master, because a good chunk of the Expanded Universe has him as a Master Jedi. This is basically when he's still in training. And I would like to read more of those stories with Luke. Of course, it's one of the few books in the Bantam era where you actually see Darth Vader in here. Because Darth Vader is not featured that much in the Bantam books. He is featured maybe in a few comics. I don't know, to the best of my knowledge anyway. I don't know for 100% sure. But this pretty much explains certain things that mentioned in Return of the Jedi, like the Death Star plans, how Luke built his lightsaber, and even foreshadows events that will happen in the movie too. This is basically the perfect bridge between those two movies. And honestly, I don't think there's any room for, in my opinion, for series of comics or novels to really fit in this strict time gap. Shadows of the Empire, I think, does it perfectly. I know Marvel back in the 80s did have comics between Empire and Jedi, but I don't really know if those really mesh well with Shadows of the Empire. There is one thing, though. If you do want to know what happens to Dash Rendar, you'll have to play the video game. Even though video games were always a lower tier of canon, it still explains if he survived or not. You do find out in the pseudo-sequel to Shadows of the Empire about Dash Rendar, him surviving. And here's the thing about this book I love so much, were the characters. Dash Rendar and Prince Xizor. Great characters. Dash Rendar is probably one character I really wish we would have gotten more of, because we barely have anything with him. I think that there may be a few other books we may have him in, like one other I can think of is Shadow Games. And that's really a shame, because Dash Rendar was a really cool character. and I would really have loved to see more of him. Prince Caesar is one of my favorite villains, period. It goes to show you don't need a villain to be a force user to be a threat. Caesar was a legitimate threat. He really was. And this also, you actually get to see the growth of Luke Skywalker from his, post Empire Strikes Back battle of Darth Vader up until the point before Return of the Jedi. You do actually see that growth in him. And since I love some Lando action, we get to see Lando do some stuff in this book too, which unfortunately Lando's another character they don't really utilize that much, unfortunately. Lando's a really awesome character, and it was good that they utilized him. It's just, it was such a great book. There's not enough I could say that makes it so good. In my opinion, read the book, don't read the comic. In my opinion, because the comic is really blah. I'll talk about it in the future why I feel that way, but that's when I talk about, if I get the chance to do that, comic book adaptations of the movies and the novels. Anyway, Shadows of the Empire. Perfect score. I can't find anything wrong with it. It fits perfectly with the continuity of Return of the original trilogy. It doesn't contradict anything, and it even explains certain things too. And this book ends right when Return of the Jedi starts. So this is the perfect, if you're reading everything in chronological order, this is the perfect thing to read as the last book to your road to Return of the Jedi. If you choose to call it that. Anyway, Darth Zenobia over and out, and oh my god, I cannot believe I have to talk about Dawn of the Jedi. Please, God! Do I have to do it, please? But then again, you guys want to know my opinion, don't you? And I've already pretty much almost done with the book. Unfortunately, you're going to get Dawn of the Jedi next time. My god, this book is so fucking horrible. Fuck this book, but I'm going to review it next week. Or whatever the hell I review it. Yeah. I can't stand you.